On my journey, I had to make a few stops. Even with the bracelet, I was still a university student with only a part-time job, so I was pretty broke. I took the cheapest flight I could find from Germany to Los Angeles, which meant several layovers and hours spent at different airports. My first stop was in London. I didn't know it then, but I was about to meet one of the most important people in my future life. I sat down at the gate and started reading a book when I heard an argument nearby. Normally, I would have kept to myself, but this situation was different. A group of 4 men, all dressed in dark clothing and towering at least 185 centimeters tall, were intimidating a little boy. The boy couldn't have been older than 9, and he clung to a woman's hand, looking like he was about to cry. The men surrounded them, harassing the woman. The woman held the boy close, trying to shield him from the scene, but I could see the tears forming in her brown eyes, barely hidden behind her dark hair. When the men moved closer and one of them started to address the boy, it was too much. I couldn't stay quiet any longer.
Hey, do you really have that much to compensate for that you need to attack a child? 4 grown men, how pathetic.
I almost shouted, throwing my book onto the empty chair next to me. I'm sure no one had ever spoken to them like that before. They looked stunned, and suddenly, everyone else at the gate who had been silently observing turned to stare at me. One of the men stepped closer, telling me to mind my own business. I tilted my head up to meet his gaze. His eyes were a deep, chocolatey brown with a small gold sparkle, and he wore a necklace with a black cross around his neck.
So should you.
I shot back. Though I didn't show it, fear tightened every muscle in my body. I placed one hand on my waist and used the other to gesture for the boy and his aunt to come closer to me. For the rest of our time at the gate, Ava, the aunt, and the boy Chris sat with me. We talked a lot, and when they realized they had forgotten to bring anything to entertain Chris on the flight, I handed him my notebook and a pencil so he could draw during the flight. 30 minutes later, boarding began, and I gave Chris a wink. On the plane, he and his aunt sat a few rows behind me, but I could still hear him chatting away. Every time he saw me, he smiled again.